Hey, y'all, how's it going? Checking in with you. I'm on day 4 of a 7-day dry fast retreat right now. In my room here, as you can see, here's my humble abode that I'm staying in. Yeah, it's been an interesting few days. I posted about alcohol a few days ago. A long post. One of the longest things that I've written, I think. I just went over it and reread it and did a little editing. Quite long. Really felt good to share that. As I mentioned, it's discussing alcohol is something that has been on my heart for a while, but it can be a hot topic, hot button topic for people, and I really feel the desire to assist others and to share positivity, and so I don't want to come off as attacking people or to cause confrontation or that sort of thing. I know, as Ben Franklin said, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. I'm not trying to convince people. I don't want to push my message down your throat. But what I want to share is a little bit of my experiences with alcohol and why I've currently chosen to release it from my life. Growing up, my parents did not drink. Family didn't do alcohol. Wasn't a part of our life. It was one of those things that I don't remember us really having conversations about it. It was just something that I thought, okay, this is not to do. I'm sure I had been told that by someone. And so, like those things that we do because we're told, instead of having an actual reason for them, when we come up against some sort of actual pressure, oftentimes we buckle. I experienced that with alcohol, with premarital sex, with other things like. And so with alcohol, once my social status changed in high school and junior year, and I began rolling with the wilder, more cool kids, I began drinking. And I was super excited about it. Like, wow, what a new world it opened up. I have always been an explorer and an experimenter, as you can see by the things that I'm doing right now, the way that I live. And so to realize that I could ingest a substance and it would change the way that I think, the way that I speak, the way that I feel, the way that I see things, that I could do things that I was used to doing that I thought were just regular old parts of my day, like going to school or reading a book or watching a movie or going to a party. I could do these things and now experience a totally different perspective. Holy smokes, that was very exciting to me. And looking back, I recognize now that I'm really attracted to altered states. There's many ways to go about altered states. Alcohol and drugs are one of them, but also breathing, fasting, travel, being in large groups, music, all these things take you into altered states. And when you're in an altered state, it opens up different information to us. We can learn faster or deeper. We can take down blind spots or walls or that sort of thing, and I love doing that. But back then I didn't know that was what it was. I just thought alcohol was the bomb, and so began drinking, loving it in high school, going to parties, doing lots of things with friends. And of course there were some downsides. Some hangovers, but back then you're 17, and really I just took those as a badge of like honor, like, look at me, I'm having these awesome hangovers because I took so many shots last night. And what else was there? Of course, arguments and fights. I didn't really have many fights, but there was always this posturing and thing. Not until college did the fighting become more of like a part of the life? That is a funny, great example of negative conditioning of our culture. We're so focused on violence in our culture, and I'll discuss this more, especially in a future post about practice and about how the brain actually works when we connect our neurons together. But we take in so much violence and then combine that with alcohol. There were so many times when I felt bad about myself because I would get in a fight or I wouldn't get in a fight, but I wouldn't beat the person up. I didn't want to hurt them, and I felt there was something wrong with me, that I didn't want to hurt these people because I felt this is what I'm supposed to do as a man, as a Marine and all these things. What else? In high school, I began drunk driving, which is an incredibly irresponsible and selfish act. And it's amazing to think that I went from, no alcohol, no way, to drunk driving within a year. But alcohol, one of the ways that it works is it shuts off your prefrontal cortex. Literally shuts down the part of the brain that we have evolved into giving us our abilities to do the things that we do, to use tools, to create technology, to interact as a group. Alcohol shuts that down, and it seems like it's a positive because it says, oh, I'm loosening up, or oh, I'm more open. But we're not actually loosening up or more open. We're not thinking. And so that clearly has many negatives. Thankfully, I received the NROTC scholarship from the Marine Corps. And so once I received that in high school, I said, I can't be putting myself on the roads drunk. And so I haven't drunk drove since then. But my goodness, I'm very grateful that I didn't harm anyone over that year and a half, and I feel great empathy for people who have been injured or lost someone from drunk driving, as well as for the people who have made that terrible decision. I can only imagine what it's like to know that you harmed or killed someone because of the desire to feel some experience that goes away within a few hours. So yeah, there were some downsides from drinking: vomiting, throwing up. Again, I thought of that when I was young as a badge of honor, almost like, yeah, I'm going hard, or else something to get out of the way. Only recently, after reading this book, did I realize, vomiting is the body's message that there is something terrible inside of it that it needs to get out. Like, it's so bad that it doesn't want to digest it. I never thought of it that way. Like, what knows better about what it needs inside of it than my body? Clearly. And yet I just blew that off. Amazing. So those negatives, they didn't really, it seemed like the positives were so much bigger. I mean, let's think about it. Our culture, especially the U.S. culture, how do we treat alcohol? I mean, the funniest, most enjoyable commercials during Super Bowl are always the beer commercials. They're funny. They're awesome. They're demonstrating people having fun, or beautiful women, beautiful men, this sort of thing. So that's conditioning going in our head continuously, saying alcohol has all this value. Everyone's doing it. Especially starting in high school, it's this thing, it's an adult beverage, something that we're looking up to. We can't wait to be able to do it. Look through the newspaper, Sunday news and the ads, pages and pages of just alcohol. Like, oh my gosh, there's so many flavors. What is it going to be like? Oh my gosh, I can't wait. So many different types. Let's watch any movie. I mean, how many movies? Maybe Harry Potter, which I love. But even, things like Lord of the Rings or whatever, and definitely things about like cool people or action or the Wild West. Drinking, always drinking, always drinking. There's always drinking there. We're taught that as we get older, to be classy, we need to learn to drink wine. We go to high-end cocktail bars. We dress up fancy and we take a drink. Or when we're wealthy, we come home, we have our own bar, this sort of thing. Conditioning, conditioning, conditioning. All these values, all this benefit. What else do we got? Well, let's see. I mean, drive down most any street of a main town and you're going to find a liquor store. A store created strictly to sell alcohol. Nothing else. No chips, which is the same thing. No food, nothing but alcohol. How can why would I ever think alcohol is a negative when it's such a huge part of our culture? It's a cornerstone. The big companies, they've been around for centuries. Big deal. We've got wine, we talk about it everywhere. Hundreds, thousands of years, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans, all this goodness of alcohol. So yeah, there were some negatives, but they didn't seem very strong compared to what I felt I was getting. And I felt that I was having fun. I felt that it was opening me up. I felt that it was strengthening my confidence. I felt that I was becoming a man. Little did I know it was doing all the opposites. So I went to college at, of all places, New Orleans. So already American college is soaked in alcohol. I mean, it's our coming of age. We no longer have coming of age ceremonies as we used to in the past, where young men and young women are ushered into adulthood with wisdom and guidance from older mentors, males and females, assisting us in building a strong foundation as an adult. We no longer have that. Now our coming of age is getting wasted and doing really dangerous and unhealthy things. And then we go to a city like New Orleans. Hello, what city is more alcohol focused than New Orleans? I'm not even going to get into that. I love New Orleans. I'm not bagging on New Orleans. It's definitely not the place that I would send my child to college. Negative. But again, further reinforced going there. Frat parties, big concerts, Mardi Gras, going to the floats, going to Bourbon Street, going downtown. All this adult stuff that I'm doing now, having the bars and this liquor stores right next to campus. How could it not be important? How could it not be valuable? It's right next to campus. I was talking to a few friends from Tulane last year and about this liquor store that was right off campus that would sell underage, and I got on Google because I couldn't remember the name, and I pulled it up, and you know how on Google Maps there's the image of it. The front image of it is inside, and all it is a pile of liquor bottles and liquor boxes, just because it's right next to a college and it's about to make a lot of money, and that's what it looks like every day. And it blew my mind to think, like, what would the ancient Greeks or the Spartans or some aliens from another world, if they came to the United States, which is the pinnacle of evolution, the most advanced, most technologically advanced, the biggest economy, everything, and they would say, okay, let's study this place that's the most advanced. Let's see how they train their next generation, because that is their future. Let's see how they train them. And they would come to a university like Tulane, and they would look and they would see it's just surrounded by places which sell a substance that shuts off the brain, that assists people in fighting and hurting each other in unhealthy sexual practices and harming each other and killing their neurons and causing them not to sleep so that they can't take their memory from short term to long term. It's like flabbergasting to think that this is how we support our next generation. But anyways, I digress. Alcohol continued, and it continued. Then I went into the Marine Corps and being a young adult, and the dark side started to show itself. Challenges, arguments, unnecessary, hurtful things with friends and with women that I was dating, women that I loved, that I've hurt. I got arrested as a Marine at a party at the beach, and there was a fight, and me, in my drunk state, I told myself the story, I'm going to go help my friend, but really it was just stupidity and absolutely unnecessary. Thankfully, the charges were dropped, but these sorts of things started coming up, and I didn't really recognize them as what they were, which is serious warning signs. Hey, wake up. I thought this is just a part of life. Like, I was only drinking on the weekends. I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't going to bed drinking. I was just having fun. So I thought, this is a part of life. Things started getting darker. Life just began getting grayer and grayer. My mood, my motivation began getting lower. How I was showing up at work, I wasn't pleased with it. How I was showing up with my friends, I wasn't pleased with it. Our interactions became shallow. I wasn't pleased with who I was. It was like I was living two lives. There's the one life, to me, the one that you see right now, that loves myself and loves other people and wants to have incredible times, assist people, support people, have fun. And then there was the other side of me that was acting in this way that I thought I told myself was cool or awesome, but I knew deep down inside it wasn't. But I started to realize, I started to make rules for myself. Okay, yeah, I've got these other things I want to do. I mean, I've always been driven and motivated and passionate. I've always had small businesses. I've always been doing these things on the side. And I would want to work on those, but then the hangovers would get in the way. I'd sleep in till like 2 p.m. or whatever. And so I said, okay, I'm going to only drink this amount, or I'm not going to drink next weekend, just maybe every other weekend, or I'm not going to take shots. I'd make these rules. And time and again, I would drop them. I would fail. And I really became frustrated. I began to lose confidence in myself. I began to really create a self-loathing and dislike that, like, what the heck is wrong with me? I'm so weak now. I'm becoming so soft. What's going on? I'm just a loser. I'm acting like this. It got deeper and deeper. It got darker and darker. Depression, deeper and deeper. Just thoughts of like, what is the point? What's going on? What am I doing with my life? What's the point of even trying if this is going to happen? Just got negative. The fall of 2016 was my darkest time, as I've mentioned before, largely due to alcohol and then bringing in these other unhealthy habits, smoking hookah and casual, promiscuous, unhealthy sex, and living this double life, really negative. Thankfully, I went to Spain for the MBA, and even though I began drinking even more over there in the first half of the year because it just was a party of having fun and things, it got me out of this kind of negative drinking by myself and just this negative loops, negative view of the world of being so gray. Because even though I was drinking in Spain, I was out having fun with lots of people, experiencing things. It shook me up, thank goodness. And so I had several other experiences, deep experiences that I will share later in other posts. But this took me out of my normal way of living and thinking, and I began learning about habits, habit creation, neuroscience, the brain, how these things work, and I realized I'd just been running my head against the wall trying to use willpower to change these things, and willpower does not work. It's, as Ben Hardy says, willpower does not work. It's not the way we change. It's the way we've been taught to change. We've been taught that some people have more willpower, they're more disciplined. That's not true. They just understand the processes that happen right here, every moment of the day. Every moment. Practice, 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 practice. I'm writing a post about practice. Practice is my love. Practice is the answer, in my opinion, to all the things that we want. And practice is occurring continuously, consciously or unconsciously. Right now, this is practice. You choosing to watch this is practice. It's a positive practice. Me choosing to be vulnerable is a practice. So anyways, I began gaining these skills, and in 2018, I said, let me take an experiment. Let me take a year off of drinking. I'd done that once before for 6 months in 2014, and it had been the most productive, successful year of my life. So I said, 2018, I've got all this momentum from the MBA. I'm feeling stoked. I'm excited. I'm out of the Marine Corps. I'm going to create my own businesses, whatever. Let me focus. I don't want to have hangovers. So I said, let me take off the year. And it was one of the most, if not the most, single beneficial decisions of my life. It was a perfect storm. I decided to take off of drinking. I was excited and motivated from my experience in Spain and learning all these new things and meeting new people. I was learning about the brain and how to actually take this stuff on. And I began for the first time in my life proactively seeking out community of people who share similar values and similar goals. And that seems so obvious, but that was a huge thing. Like, all my friends before, nothing against at all, but I just stayed with the same ones from the past. We change and we shift throughout life. And as we change and shift, we want and need to be around people who are sharing these similar values. It helps fulfill us and inspire us. So all of those things combined to just take my life continuously higher and higher and higher, quality of life, these practices that I put in place after understanding how the brain works, after researching and studying these successful people, put these practices in place, morning routines, evening routines, meditation, habits, affirmation, ways of thinking, things that I'm reading. I mean, many, many things that I will be sharing over the course of these years have assisted me. And so I had intended to come back to drinking in 2019, but since I stopped, I haven't even looked back, because now my quality of life is up here. My joy, my confidence, my love, my ability to interact with others. Now when I go to parties, and I'm going to much nicer, cooler, more elevated parties than ones where we're just getting wasted. When I go now, I'm interacting with people, or to conferences, to events, to things like Burning Man. I'm interacting at this higher level. I'm having these conversations there. I'm learning things. I'm blowing my mind. And I'm sharing things with people that they're really getting value out of. So my quality of life is up here. And now if I were to drink and get drunk, it would take me down here, or even down here. In the past, I believed my life was down here, and so I believed that drinking would take it up here. It was a lie from alcohol, because that's what alcohol does. But now it just doesn't even make sense. So I'd like to explode just a couple of the conditionings that are around alcohol. We've talked about some, that it gives us confidence. It actually destroys our confidence, because we begin to believe that we need this external substance for these things, like having fun, or having a good weekend, or being with friends, or just feeling good about myself. When we believe something external gives us that, then that takes away our internal, and it lowers our confidence and lowers our self-worth. What's another one? We believe that it tastes good. And I get that, trust me. I lived in San Diego for 8 years. San Diego has the most awesome breweries in the country, maybe in the world. I mean, all these ones with just innovative flavors and all that sort of thing. And I love innovation. I love what they're doing. But let's think about it for real. Alcohol is a poison. It has 0 demonstrated health benefits. It poisons the cells. It causes our DNA to become damaged. It is used for cleaning. It's not used to be ingested. We can look at how our body reacts when we first taste it. We don't like the flavor. Our body, when I go and eat an orange, doesn't matter if I never had one before. I am created to eat an orange. My body says, oh yes, this is the bomb diggity. Let me have it. When I go to drink alcohol, it doesn't say that. It spits it out. And if I drink more, it vomits it out. It's a poison. It dehydrates our cells. So we drink it, we become dehydrated. We're made of what? 70% of our body is water. Water's kind of important to us. It dehydrates us, so we drink more. So it's the perfect marketing ploy for big business, of course. No offense. I'm not bagging and saying I don't believe in business or capitalism. Our capitalism is broken. I'll share on that on another. I'm a business owner. I've been a business owner since I was a little kid. But I don't support businesses that make money off of poisoning and killing and harming others. And that's what the alcohol business does. It takes a substance that creates an addiction in our cells, creates a small chemical dependency of our cells, because even though it's a poison, it provides certain little chemicals to the cells that they want. So it creates an addiction, and then it dehydrates us, so we continue drinking it because our body needs water. And then it takes something that tastes very terrible and it puts natural flavors in it so that we think that it tastes good, and we begin to acquire a taste for it. But let's be honest, the flavor that we like are the natural flavors that we always like. The fruits, the cacao, the coffee, the vanilla. These are all natural things, and they mix it with this very unnatural thing. So the flavor thing, no. What are some other ones? Confidence, having fun, flavor. Thinking that it loosens us up, and so we have a better time in parties and things. It's easy to see that because it's a short-term fix. But if we were to go to parties, we were to go to dances and events without alcohol, and we were to just practice being open, connecting with others. If we watch small babies or children, when you bring them to a party and they don't know anyone, they're shy at first. And then they start interacting, they start connecting, and after 30 minutes they're running around screaming. If we were to practice the same thing, then we would become like I am now, to where I have the confidence and I have the skill of interacting with others that I haven't met, so that we can connect on the deep level. Human beings are meant to connect. We're a social organism. We're not meant to be separated. We have a deep desire to connect, and so it's going to come out if we let it come out, if we stop with this fear and avoidance and escape from other substances. So those are some of my thoughts, and I would also like to talk about addiction. Alcoholism has been demonized for so many years as this thing that's a genetic disease or disorder, or that once you're an alcoholic, you're stuck with it for the rest of your life, and this sort of thing. I'm very grateful for all the people that they've assisted. I personally do not agree with the way that they go about it, and it's been demonstrated now time and again that it's not true. It's saying things like I am an alcoholic and reinforcing that, and doing things like I'm 30 days dry or I'm 100 days dry, and then if I have one drink, starting back over from zero. No, those are not the ways that have been demonstrated to assist people in challenges. Alcoholism, in my opinion, as I said, there's a small chemical cellular dependency, as there is with food and other things. But it's not what drives us to continue drinking. It's not what stopped me from keeping my promises about saying, oh, I will only drink this much or whatever. That's the conditioning. That's the conditioning of me believing that this substance, which is a poison, which is taking my money and my health and my relationships, me believing that it has some value, and so me continuing and trying to keep a balanced or healthier amount. But there is no healthy amount. It's just not meant for me to have in my body. It's not meant for me to have in my relationships. When we feel that we're giving up something of value, then we create in our mind this craving for it. I'm sure you've experienced it. It's why right now I'm shifting my relationship with food, because I don't want to be controlled by anything. And I want to be at the place where if I choose to stop something, then I know, okay, I'm not giving something up of value. I'm just choosing because right now this is better for me than to continue. And it's the same with alcohol. Alcoholics, they have all these stories about all the benefits that it's giving, the flavor, the fun, the exciting times, the loosening up, all this stuff. And so when they stop it, there's this mental craving that's continuously over and over and over and over and over. And it's like we're using the willpower, trying to fight it, Willpower does not work. Willpower does not work. Learn what's going on with the brain. Shift, increase the quality of life, and it goes away. So I've been talking here for a while. I wasn't expecting to talk this long, but this is something that's really passionate, deep for me. I would like to share, there's an author named Alan Carr. He kept coming up in my readings and other books about the brain, about habit change. And so I said, this guy keeps coming up in these other books. He must have something of value. Let me read this. So a few months ago, while I was here in India, I read his book, Easy Way to Control Drinking. Because while I was with my hair doing volunteer, they asked me for assistance because alcohol is very damaging here in India. And so I said, yes, it's my desire to assist people, and it's my desire to assist people who are struggling with alcohol, with addiction challenges. So I read this book, and it really, wow, this fella, not only did he describe exactly what I had experienced with alcohol, but he described exactly what I experienced with giving it up and releasing it. Because since 2018, I've had zero desire to drink. It's not that it's in the back of my mind. It's not that if I have a drink, I'm going to fall off the wagon or I'm one drink away from being a drunk. Not at all. I can drink anytime I want. I can drink as much as I want, but it has zero attraction to me because it brings my life down here. Just like when I was young, when I was in elementary school, I used to show a girl that I liked her by pulling her hair or by tagging her or poking her. I don't do that anymore. Not because I'm craving to do it, but I choose not to. I've just moved to another level to where that is now so clearly something that doesn't bring benefit to my life. It's the same with alcohol, and this is possible for everyone, not just due to my circumstances. So this book, very beneficial. I would like to give $25 to the first 12 people who read it or any of his books, because he also talks about his book about cigarettes, about gambling, about overeating and sugar. I'd like to give $25 to each person of the first 12 who read that. And it doesn't matter if you stop, if you like it, you don't like it, you keep drinking, you drink more, I don't really care. All I'd like to do is have a 5-minute conversation with you, just so that I can get your take on it, because it helps me understand other people's thinking. I'm not going to try to convince you at all, and I'd like to share that with you. So that's what I've got, guys. I love you. Thanks for sticking with me. This is quite a long one. And again, to share, I feel very drawn. It's my current mission to continue this work with myself and to continue sharing and assisting others in their evolution. I feel very called to assisting others with these sorts of things. And so with that, I've chosen to not work a regular 9 to 5 job, as that would be a distraction from being able to really dive in and gain mastery on these things. And so if you feel resonance with anything that I share, if it connects with you and you feel inspired to assist me in any way, I greatly appreciate it. It means very much to me. It does really assist me. I promise that anything that you provide me, money or anything else, will only be used to assist me in assisting others. Won't be used for anything else. If you're interested in that, I leave some of the PayPal and Venmo and things below this post. And I also leave questions that I'm offering that assist you in reconnecting with yourself and gaining these tools and skills that I've learned to assist life. I will wish you the best, my friends. I'll talk to you later. Peace.